Turnkey with Morgan Francis, sponsored by Integrity Roofing.
Welcome into Turnkey on Queen City News Plus, your go-to show for everything real estate in the Carolinas. We talk about the latest market trends, do's and don'ts of the industry, and provide expert advice on navigating this dynamic landscape that we call home. I'm your host, Morgan Francis, and this time of year, it almost goes without saying, right? Spending can get out of control. So how do you balance that festive spirit without sacrificing your budget and getting yourself kind of into a danger zone when it comes to covering your housing expenses? Well, we are extremely lucky today because we have Rachel Cruze on from the Dave Ramsey Show. Rachel, thank you so much for coming on Turnkey.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
So you field questions from people who call into your show all the time. This time of year, what is kind of the number one issue that you see with people when it comes to budgeting?
Well, they're just trying to figure out how to do it all. And so I think this time of year, whether it's the decorations, the parties, the gift giving, everything, there seems to be so much that hits between that Thanksgiving and Christmas holiday. And so I think what's hard is everyone wants to do it all, right? You want to be able to get the gifts that you want. You want to be able to spend and enjoy. Yeah, that's right. Exactly. I know. And so you want to have fun and be able to enjoy it. And what ends up happening is we see consumer debt always has an uptick this time of year. But we're actually finding that 30% of Americans are wanting to spend less this holiday season than last year in 2024. So people are feeling, I think, still a level of that inflation. I think some tariffs have kicked in some higher prices, and people are feeling that life is expensive and they know, gosh, I can't do it all. So how do I even go about this holiday season? So it's questions around there, and it's stuff that I think everyone feels. Everyone feels the high prices and not having enough margin, feeling like in their normal budget to be able to cover it.
There's always that guilt, right, of someone says, hey, we're going to do a gift exchange. It always pops up as we get closer to Christmas. There's that either that one friend group or maybe some relatives who never did a gift exchange before. And then all of a sudden it pops up and they want to know if you want to be a part of it. And it's tough to say no. It really is. But it's comforting to hear that stat that you said that roughly 30% of Americans are cutting back. Kind of you get that feeling that, OK, I'm not alone in this. I'm not the only one who's thinking, gosh, I don't want to join another gift exchange. So how do you balance? You mentioned tariffs, which I think is impacting prices across the board for people this year with gifts. They're buying less and still spending the same amount, if not more. So how do you balance trying to, still participate in some of those gift exchanges, but not getting in hot water when it comes to your housing expenses?
Absolutely. Well, I think being proactive and knowing what you have to spend is going to help you. And so your money and your budget really can kind of take the lead. So you're able to say, yes, if I have the money to be able to do it, then I can say yes. But if you start to see, okay, I'm spending more than what I was thinking I was going to spend, that's when you have to put that boundary up and say no. But you can also adjust. And that's the other great thing about a budget is it doesn't have to be set in stone. Maybe the amount of money you spend that you plan on spending is set in stone, but how you spend it may look different. And you may get to this point of, oh gosh, there's a $20 gift exchange over here and I really want to do that. So maybe I can buy like one less thing for this person over here in order to do what I want to be able to do. So it's kind of this give and take as well. But I think being proactive about the reality of life is really important, and housing is part of that. So we at Ramsey call it your four walls: your food, shelter, utilities, and transportation. And so you don't want to get behind on those four categories because that will put you in danger, of going without the really important things that you have to have. And so your housing is part of that. And so you don't want to sacrifice being stressed about a mortgage payment in January because you bought some extra gifts in December, right? So being an adult and making those decisions, I think, is really important.
Yeah, you have to keep in mind the expenses that aren't going away, right? The things that you hopefully have control over, but at the end of the day, you really don't, right? Your mortgage payment is going to be the same every month. Your utilities will fluctuate as the temperatures fluctuate, especially as we get into the colder months. So, those are the things that aren't going away. So how do you control, the holiday season is the festive? What do you recommend for people who want to decorate their home and are still kind of trying to balance everything out and figure out how much of a budget they have this time of year?
Sure. Well, I think being able to look at your margin, and again, it may be really slim because the reality is 40% of Americans can't cover a $400 emergency in cash. So again, we're not talking about like you're going to have thousands and thousands of dollars of margin. Maybe you have a high income and you've been smart with money, over the course of years, and that is the case, which is wonderful. But for a lot of Americans, that's not what they're feeling. And so being able to get a pulse on like, hey, here's how much money we actually have. And then you do have to divvy it up, which takes some intentionality and some planning, which is not always fun. But to be able to write out and say, okay, let's have a section for gifts. Here's everyone we're going to spend the gift on. Put a dollar amount next to their names, which sounds really terrible.
Just don't publish it, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I know. I was telling someone earlier, I was like, if you do it on the Notes app on your iPhone, you can do like a password protected. Like no one can get into this list, right?
Yeah.
But you have that. But then, don't forget about, if you're going to go to parties and if you want to bring a hostess gift or if everyone's like, hey, bring an appetizer or a bottle of wine. Put that in there if you're planning on that. If you're planning on decorating, to your point, hey, how much money do we have where I can go to Target and buy a couple new throw pillows because it's fun and I enjoy that, right? Put that in there. Whatever you're going to spend this holiday season, as much as you can, plan it out. And again, those can shift throughout the month. If you want to take priority for something else than what you had originally planned, that's totally fine. But again, staying in that, and it sounds so boring and restrictive to do it this way, but I have found I'm a natural free spirit. I don't usually love details in this type of planning.
Okay.
And I'm a spender. I love to spend. So I have learned, though, to do these kind of plans when it comes to the holidays and monthly, doing a monthly budget. It gives me permission to spend. I'm able, which I may have done last night, go on Amazon and buy a new shirt for a party that I'm going to go to with some girls. But I'm like, okay, it's in the budget. I can do that. Now, there's a price I can't go over, but within this price point, I can buy this and I'm free. I have peace to do it. It's great. So sometimes you may have to say no to some things, but with this kind of plan, it gives you permission to spend. So when you are buying and you are spending, you don't have guilt or questions of, can I do this? Is this okay? Is this irresponsible? Because you've planned it out, and that's wonderful.
And I think there's always pressure too on the clothing, on the line of the clothing conversation. There's always pressure to have like a new dress or a new shirt. I have had the same ugly Christmas sweater since I couldn't even tell you how long. And I wear the same dress going to a whole bunch of weddings because it looks good. And why do I need to buy a new dress? So I think, maybe that should be a mindset too, is you don't always have to have the new outfit, right?
No, absolutely. And so, yeah, being able to go through your closet and shop your closet. Maybe it's like a new pair of earrings or a $15 shirt from Amazon. Some small things if you want to, just to kind of scratch the itch. But to your point, the shoes, the purses, the dresses, the skirts, the sequins top. I mean, it can go on and on and on. So yes, being wise about that. And no one cares. No one remembers. I always say people think less about you. People think less about you than you think they think about you. So that's the truth. We more worry about ourselves, and most people are worried about themselves too.
They're gonna remember you were there and not what you were wearing. As we approach the new year, I know as a real estate agent, you see a lot of people signing up for the housing alerts. They think, okay, this is the year. This is the year I'm buying a house. That is my goal. How would you suggest someone approach kind of end of year finances with that goal in mind of 2026? That's the year I'm going to buy a house.
Well, it gets back to the prioritization of where your money's going. And so when it comes to housing, I know you've had George Camel on as a guest, but yeah, our Ramsey philosophy really is to be out of debt, have a fully funded emergency fund, and at least a 5% down payment when you are ready to buy, if you're a first-time home buyer. So if those things are in place, then yes, the new year, jump into the market. And I think people are trying to time interest rates, the price of housing, all of it. But listen, when you are ready to buy, then you're ready to buy. And so jump in. But remember, if you're saving up for that down payment, a couple of $100, a couple $1,000, how much you're spending this Christmas can take away from that goal. So that's another reason just to be aware and to plan well this holiday season, because when it comes to buying a home in 2026, every dollar helps, right, when it comes to a home purchase. And so being able to be proactive about your other financial goals, keep those in mind this holiday season.
You know what I really love about the Ramsey show is that all of you seem so grounded, right? You don't get distracted by what doesn't matter. And I think around Christmas, a lot of people do get distracted about things that just don't matter. So what's your recommendation to people to just stay focused on the important things in life?
Contentment is a really powerful principle in life and when it comes to your finances. And I find people that are content, they're very at peace, They're not running, this rat race, keeping up with the Joneses, seeing what everyone's doing on social media, feeling like, oh my gosh, everyone's traveling. We should probably travel. They're not motivated by other people. They're really motivated by inwardly what gives them joy. And most content people know it doesn't come from stuff. That stuff is not bad. It's okay to have nice stuff. Just don't let your nice stuff have you. And when we're in this trap of American consumerism, I think we really do believe if I just put a few extra toys for the kids under the tree, that makes me a better parent. It looks full. It looks good. Okay, I'm good. And the truth is your kids don't care. Your kids really will remember driving around and looking at Christmas lights. Having we watched Home Alone 2 with my kids last night. We literally let them all write down a movie suggestion. We put it in a bowl and drew it out like some game.
Oh, fun.
And we watched Home Alone 2, and they're like, oh, let's do a movie every night this week. Those are the things your kids are going to remember, your family's going to remember. And then also when it comes to other relationships, not even just with your kids, but your family, your friendships, all of that. People just want to be with people and feel loved, feel seen, feel heard. And those are the things that go a long way. So the stuff is fun. We're not against stuff, but the prioritization of it, I think, gets out of hand in our world today. And then you throw social media and scroll on Instagram and Facebook, and that just adds to it all. So put the blinders on. Do what's best for you and your family. And usually that means it doesn't have to cost a lot.
Yeah, maybe put a limit on the time that you are on social media, because I think the doom scrolling and the scene, like you said, that what the Joneses are posting, well, the Joneses are putting everything on their credit card and they're not telling you that on social media.
That's exactly right. Seriously, the Joneses are broke. So don't compare your life to broke people.
And on the note of like kids with presents, they just like unwrapping it. They oftentimes don't even care what's inside. I think my parents would rewrap our gifts and they'd tell the babysitter, hey, if the kids get bored, we have some of their gifts in the closet wrapped. They just like unwrapping stuff. So just give it to them to keep them busy. So that's what kids really like.
So true. It's so true.
Rachel, any final thoughts just on kind of holiday spending and making sure that people are spending in a smart way that doesn't put them in trouble with all their housing expenses?
I just think one of the biggest mistakes we make with our money is that we're not proactive. We're reactive. We let everything kind of happen to us, dictate us, whether it's other people's expectations, what other people are doing, to just, oh gosh, it's the urgency and I haven't planned, so I have to go and spend so much money on shipping to get it overnighted. Whatever it is, things just happen to us. So the more proactive you can be, the more in control you can be on what's going on with your time, with your schedule, with your money, the more peace you're going to have because you have control over it. And so that may mean starting early, shopping early. That may mean just spending with the money you have. So it may look like a less Christmas from a gift perspective, if you will, this Christmas than last Christmas. But again, being proactive on all of it will give you peace. And that's what this season's about too, right? It is fun. It's joyous. It's festive. And so I'm about all the fun. I love the fun.
Yeah, if you don't
But you have more fun when you have peace.
Yes, exactly. Don't procrastinate. Don't get stressed out and just enjoy what matters most. Rachel Cruze, thank you so much for coming on Turnkey. We really appreciate your time.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
All right, for the second half of this holiday-themed Turnkey, let's bring in Robin Mann, a real estate agent with eXp Realty. Robin, you're familiar with the news. We've interviewed you, I think, a few times for stories throughout the years. You're a friend to the news because you always say yes.
Yeah, I know. I love Queen
stat.
City News. I think it's a great media in our community.
Well, we appreciate that. Happy to have you on the show today. So Rachel Cruze talked a lot about budgeting for the holidays and how to stick to a budget even going into the new year. But as real estate agents, we always see first of the year, everyone starts signing up for alerts.
Yes.
And our systems usually kind of go off as people signing up to look at homes. And it's always on people's mind, right? This year, this is the year I'm going to buy a home.
I'm going to do it. New Year's resolution.
Yes.
That's right.
So how do people get from that idea to it being a reality when they're trying to save and this might be the first time they're going through that?
So there's so many ways to go with this answer. So New Year's resolution, yes. And we can even backtrack before that.
Mm-hmm.
One of the best times to buy a home is at the end of the year. So if you're looking at this right now and you're like, I need to get under contract on a home now before January. Okay, wow. The new construction deals out there right now are off the charts because there's a large supply of inventory and they don't want to hold it into the new year. So that's just something as a footnote. as far
maybe
as
waiting, maybe you have the
Exactly.
year to save, and then the deal will
Exactly.
be
It'll be
next
next year.
December,
Absolutely.
which gives you plenty of time. There is no rush, right? This is a big decision,
No rush. You're not buying a sweater. This is not Christmas sweater shopping. You're buying a house. I have people
especially
that
an ugly Christmas sweater. You don't want an ugly home.
people are like, oh, I'm just being so picky. It's okay. Now, there's a line, but it's okay to be picky. You're buying a home.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes, some of the first things you're going to want to do in order to get ready to purchase a home is the absolute first thing is look at your credit. If you don't have great credit, don't count yourself out. There's a lot of programs that will help you raise your credit. There's a gazillion YouTubes you can look at telling you how to do it yourself. There's also people you can hire
Are
to
there
help with your
still
credit.
no credit loans available? Are those few and far between?
They are few and far between. They peaked their head up this year with the rise in inventory. You know, the 50-year mortgage you just spoke about,
Right.
and the no interest. They're there.
Yeah.
They're not recommended. And really, raising your credit is not as hard as you think. Often, if you meet with a good lender, like I have wonderful lender partners who have credit people who will look at your whole entire portfolio, and you're like, I don't have a portfolio. You have a portfolio.
You do.
So they will look at your entire portfolio and they will say, okay, Robin, all you need to do is pay this off. Don't close it. Let's write a letter to this place. Let's call this place. And or let's start looking at your debt to income ratio. That's a big statement that a lot of people are going to hear when they're looking at purchasing a home. Your debt to income.
So the reason you don't close the credit card is because you need that history there of credit history. But let's go into the debt to income ratio. Really spell that out for someone who is like, what the heck is that?
Yes. So I do have a vocabulary sheet that I will give buyers and sellers. But the debt to income ratio, you want them to be, and I am not
Not a lender.
I am
Yes.
not the money girl. I am the realtor girl. I will say you want your debt to income ratio to lie within certain parameters. So if your debt, if you know that you have
So a car payment.
Yes.
And credit
school
cards,
loans.
school loans, all of that stuff is your debt.
Is your debt. Also, your debt is your rent. That's part of your portfolio. Your car loan, your student loans, your credit cards, anything. Anything that you've had holding you back or actually that's helped you get forward.
Right.
That is your debt. So then you look at your income. So often when people rent places, they have to have a 3-to-1 debt income ratio. That means you have to make 3 times the monthly rent. Similar situation for loans. So if I'm talking a foreign language to you right now, that's okay. I have people who can speak your language.
You're not supposed to understand it right out of the gate. I mean, that just makes it boring.
Exactly. That's why you hire people.
Yeah.
So the other thing, the most important thing I will do is tell you,
budget.
talk to your lender.
Right.
And then, yes, we would go to budget. Your lender, if you have a great lender partner, which I have several, they're going to help you with a plan. They may look at your everything right now and say, wow, you're ready. And you're like, but I don't have $50,000 saved up. That's okay. There's first-time homebuyer grants. There's new construction
a lot
incentives
available in the area, and it's not just Charlotte. There are state options out there as well. So help having a real estate agent kind of their connections and explain everything to you and what's available out there. It could be huge. It could save you thousands of dollars in the short term and get your foot in the door, really.
And I will say, even on new construction, people are like, oh, I'll just go into this new construction and buy a house. Get a realtor. The agent on site.
It's already baked into the price.
It's already baked into the price, and the agent on site is representing the builder. They're not looking out for you. So you want to bring a realtor with you on those. Even you won't bother us. People are always, I don't want to bother you. Bother me.
Please do.
That's my job.
Okay, so once you get the budget, some people might think, okay, I need 5% down. I need 20% down. That aside, right? Because we've already talked about first-time homebuyer programs out there available for people. How much should someone plan to have at the closing table?
So that will vary. Just kind of as a round figure, if we're talking about a first-time home buyer, we're looking at maybe like $5,000 or so, maybe $8,000. Now, here's the deal. You can get closing costs, especially in this market, you can get closing costs written into your offer. So let's say you only have $5,000, but you need $10,000. or you need 8, well, then we're going to ask for $3,000 in closing, and that's going to give you the money you need. You still need the down
From
payment.
the seller.
From the seller, correct.
Mhm.
I'm sorry. You still need to have a down payment of some form plus the closing costs. So a down payment might be $10,000. It might be $20,000. But then also you're going to have closing costs on top of that. And your closing costs are going to be your inspection, which is around $500 to $600, your appraisal, which is around $500. You're going to have some legal fees. There's going to be some taxes, some insurance. So there's all kinds of things that go into your closing cost. A good realtor with a seller and another good realtor that are working together can get you help on getting closing costs so that you can actually buy a home.
What would be, in your opinion, the best return on investment when I'm looking at spending money on my home? You mentioned exteriors, you mentioned landscaping, maybe it's paint. What, in your opinion, is the best return on investment that way?
You want to look at the number one, and I will probably be different than all the things you look up.
Mm-hmm.
The number one thing is make your house clean. Like this is, and I'll get to the big ticket items, but as a Dave Ramsey person that we just spoke with, clean. And you think, oh, that's simple. No, clean around the light switches, the doorknobs, the baseboards. Okay, because that's where people are looking. Your front door, that's one of the big ones. What does your front door look like? Is the doorknob rusted? Is the paint peeling? Is there dirt everywhere that won't pressure wash off? That one is ginormous.
When they're looking through the pictures, they're looking at the front of the house. And if you can't get them past the front of the house, they're not going to show up in person.
Exactly,
right?
Exactly. So yes, your bushes, they need to be trimmed. Your grass needs to be cut. Get rid of the knick-knack. Your grandma's frog is really cute, but we don't want to see it on the picture.
Depersonalized. Not everyone likes a frog in the garden.
Exactly.
I mean, they might want a couple of gnomes.
Exactly. So, but then inside the home, yes, paint is ginormous. And I'm really big. I've always been really big on what's the least amount of money we can spend to make your home ready for the market.
Mm-hmm.
Paint is ginormous. Kitchen. Let's look at your kitchen. Is everything, are the cabinets, and when I say clean and it's a very simple thing, but are the cabinets clean? Like you get a degreaser in there and clean them. We always want a better return on investment than the investment. So we would look at that together, or your realtor and you should look at that together to say, yeah, we really do need to replace all the fixtures in the house.
And maybe in addition to speaking with your realtor, if there are open houses in the area,
yes,
before, months before you're looking to put yours, maybe you're considering doing a small renovation.
Yes.
Go look at the other houses. I mean, that's just
absolutely
value. Yeah.
And model homes.
Yeah.
I love to tell people to go into model homes.
They've got all the best upgrades.
They have the best upgrades, and they give you an idea. Wow, my house really does look dated. Mm-hmm. Now, if it's a 1900 dated home, yay.
Historic neighborhood,
To keep it dated, please. Please do not cover it with LVP and gray paint.
That would just be a
Can we talk
tragedy.
about gray paint? Please don't paint gray.
Why?
Because gray is so bad. It's overused.
Everything's gray.
Everything's gray.
There's a trend, right? It's like whites, off-whites, grays.
Yes.
Silver.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And actually the trends now coming forward are more warm colors. Mm-hmm. So more beiges or tans. But Greek Villa is one of my favorite colors. It's a neutral, but it's clean and pretty, and it's got a little warm undertone to it. So
paint can be tough.
Paint can be very tough.
Even if you're picking whites. Whites are
white. Oh my gosh.
Because white could look yellow, white could look green.
Yes. We just painted a pink white in our house because I wanted just a little bit of flair to it.
Really? Pink? Why'd you choose pink?
I don't know why I chose
It's such an uncharacteristic color for you. Robin, we're running out of time, but would love to hear just, anything we haven't covered that you think is important for someone who is buying or is selling in the new year.
Now, this is for the seller. You're like, Robin, I don't have this money. Mm-hmm. I don't have 1% to fix up my home. Most likely you have home equity. Home equity means you paid $250 for this house. Now your house is worth $500. So you've got $250,000 sitting somewhere. Mm-hmm. It's sitting in your mortgage company's interest.
I know where you're going with this. Yeah.
Call your lender, call your bank, say, can I take out a home equity loan? And now you could have $25,000 to upgrade your kitchen. If all the homes in the neighborhood are upgraded, you can use that money for your benefit. Then when you sell your home, you'll pay off that equity line, you'll pay off your mortgage, and you'll still have equity left over. Now, don't tap yourself out. Don't go get all 250. Make everything.
It's not
way above
free.
the
I mean, you
neighborhood.
eventually have to pay it back,
Gotta
and
pay it
usually
back.
the interest rate is a little bit higher than mortgage rates. So, you are going to be paying interest on that, and in home equity line of credit, you can't miss a payment on that, especially if you're looking to purchase another home down
Yes.
the line.
Don't want to
then
mess up your credit.
Yes. Don't
Now-
buy a car. Don't even lease a new car.
Exactly.
Okay. Don't do anything to ruin your credit.
As far as buyers, as far as buyers and sellers, if you're thinking about it, it's time. As a buyer, you're paying someone else's mortgage. I am so appreciative of my renters. They're making inheritance for my children because they're paying my mortgage.
Mm-hmm.
And I hate that for them. I want them to not do that.
Someday, it's whenever it's the appropriate time for, that particular person.
And some people love to rent. I will say that.
Yeah.
They don't want the hassle of all that. But sellers, if you're thinking about it, it's time. If you're just barely thinking about it, it's time. Start cleaning the baseboards. Start looking at the neighborhood homes. Like you said, go to the neighborhood open houses. Are they all updated lights? Because you can find great deals on lights and have them. You get a local electrician to put them in. Oh, and don't do it yourself unless you're good at it. I meant to mention that. Unless you're really good at it, they're going to redo that, and
People will spot that.
you're going to get a ding on your sales price for that.
Robin, thank you so much for coming on
Thank you.
Turnkey and Queen City News. You've interviewed dozens of times, so we always appreciate your time and effort.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It was quite a pleasure.
Yeah, we'll have you on again sometime soon.
All right, great.
All right, everyone else out there, thank you so much for watching Turnkey on Queen City News Plus. We'll see you next time.
Queen City News Plus. Just search Queen City News on your smart TV's app store.